on, everybody? Welcome to the Battery Mates podcast. I am Dirty Dave. That is the Sandman, Sean, over there. Sean, it is the day after St. Patrick's Day. I hope you're not hungover from all the green beer and all the crazy festivities of the holiday.
Yeah, no hangover for me. I didn't leave my house yesterday.
Good for you, man.
My wife was sick all weekend,
Oh,
so we bunkered down yesterday. Just kind of hung out. I had a couple of old fashions here at the house while we watched MasterChef, and that was what my Sunday consisted of. So that was my St. Patrick's Day. So now we're the day after. We had a big day in Braves baseball. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, we sure did. The day after St. Patrick's Day brought a lot of news for Atlanta. So let's talk about that. But before we talk about that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping here. I'm going to start off right at the top with our big news because you have to jump on this really quick. If you're only going to listen to 5 minutes of the podcast, these are the 5 minutes you need to listen to. So it is March Madness. The official NCAA tournament bracket has dropped, and we are doing a bracket challenge. Very simple. Go to our social media. Go to specifically Twitter, right? Look up Battery Mates Podcast on there. You'll find us with our beautiful logo. Go on there and join the challenge because the winner's going to get a $10 gift card. We'll message them and work out something for a restaurant or a coffee shop or something like that. But we'll make that happen. But you have to be following the page to do that. You also follow us on Facebook to see the link on there. But yeah, Battery Mates Podcast, Bracket Challenge. Good luck beating me because I'm going to win. I'm just going to say it right now. I don't know how Sean's feeling, but I'm feeling good about mine. But if you think you can make a better one, come on in, prove it, and you get paid for it. So go on there and that. Follow us on TikTok, on Instagram, and Facebook. You just search Battery Mates Podcast on all those places, and you'll be able to find us on all of our social medias. With that being said, also follow us on Spotify and YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, go to YouTube because you get to see our smiling face. So let's give them a wave and a smile here to the camera, Sean. There we are. And if you did see us and you're tired of seeing us, you can just go to Spotify and listen to us there. No waves, no smiles, no nothing. So let's talk Braves baseball because it really feels like finally we have stuff to actually talk about because we're so close to the season now. And we basically have our 26-man roster completely figured out to start the year. And last week we talked about what are the Braves going to do in that fifth rotation spot. We talked about Bryce Elder. We talked about Reynaldo Lopez. Earlier today on the 18th, Bryce Elder sent down to AAA Gwinnett. After the spring he had, I can't say I'm 100% surprised, but he was still an all-star that started Game 3 of the NLDS last year. So it's still a little bit of a surprise. Sean, instant reactions, man. What do you think about Bryce Elder moving down to AAA and Reynaldo Lopez taking that fifth spot in the rotation?
Well, like you said, I don't think that you can say that you're overly shocked just because Bryce kind of looked the way that he looked at the end of last year. He still just kind of had that look. The ground ball rate was way down, so that's not a good thing when that's kind of his MO, right? Is soft contact, lots of ground balls. So I can't say that I'm shocked. Also, he had options, which just so it makes sense. And like I said last week, he doesn't have the stuff to come out of the pen. I said that then. I'll stand by it now. If they thought that he could be a long reliever, he would probably be the long reliever. But he's a starter in their eyes, so they sent him down. So am I shocked? No. The jury's still out for me as far as whether or not I think this is the best move.
Yeah.
But it's statistically it makes sense. And we're just going to kind of have to see what the bullpen does moving forward, because not only did that kind of settle the fifth starter spot, it finished that the last couple pieces of the bullpen, it kind of filled those in too, because we saw Noah going down, he's going to build back up after Tommy John. And so it looks like, those last three spots are going to go to Matzik, Jackson Stevens, and Dylan Lee. And so I think it kind of rounded everything out as far as the pitching staff goes. So we're going to have to wait and see, for me at least, kind of what Reynaldo Lopez looks like when you get him 5, 10, 15 starts into the year, and kind of what's his arm look like, what's his velo look like, because he's hitting 92, 94. Does he keep 96, 97 in his back pocket when he needs to? I hope so. But you're not going to get that from him if he's starting. So for me, the jury's out, but it makes sense why Elder went down and what they're doing with Bryce Elder specifically. So I don't necessarily have any overarching complaints, if you will.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think that point about Elder not having this stuff to be a reliever, that was a wonderful point, and it's so true. I mean, I would not trust if Bryce Elder had to come in a jam because you've used your other guys or whatever it might be. I would not expect. I would expect the worst, unfortunately. So I like the move. If you're not going to start him, to move him down. Reynaldo earned the spot. He looked really good this spring. I thought that he looked better than I expected him to look, to be honest. Because, I feel like you know what you're going to get out of Reynaldo Lopez. And I feel like that's maybe the biggest thing is you know what you're going to get from Reynaldo Lopez. You know the kind of pitcher he is. You know what he could bring to the table. You know he's flexible and he can do whatever needs to be done. Whereas with Bryce Elder, I mean, you don't know. You talk about a guy who first half of last year is an all-star. Second half of last year, you're like, do we need to send him down to AAA? This spring, he looks bad. Could he come up and be great? He could be. You don't know anything about Bryce Elder. And you're at a point where you're the Braves where the worst thing that can happen is uncertainty. I mean, if your team is healthy and playing to the potential that they know that they can play at, that's the best thing for your team. Anything that brings that wild card is just going to bring you down. When you're the best team, you want stability, consistency. Let's just get through the season. And unfortunately, with Bryce Elder, he's the uncertainty. He's the wild card. He does things and you go, well, what does that do for our team? So I like the move. I like Reynaldo being the fifth starter. I think he can find that spot in the bullpen at any point. He's a guy that could start for 2 months, be in the bullpen for another month, come back. I mean, he'll do whatever you ask for him. So at a certain point, I think someone else comes back to start in that fifth spot if need be, if they feel like, hey, we need Reynaldo in the bullpen. And you have a really good rotation in Gwinnett to pick from because besides Elder, you have AJ Smith-Shawver, you have Hurston Waldrop, you have Huascar Ynoa, you have Darius Vines, you have Dylan Dodd. I mean, there are MLB teams that don't have a better rotation than that. So for the Braves to be picking from like an MLB caliber, even if it's a lower end, an MLB caliber rotation, they're in a good spot if anything happens moving forward.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the things too is we have the luxury of if Lopez looks like he's fading, if he looks like okay this might be a little bit much, you can move him to the bullpen. You still have Bryce Elder, who maybe he was the opening day starter at Gwinnett last year. A lot of people forget about that because he was a first half All-Star, but he was the opening day starter at Gwinnett last season. So that's not new to Bryce Elder. You also, like you said, AJ Smith-Shawver, Hurston Waldrop. For me, ideally, you keep both those guys down for as long as you can. But then you still have Darius Vines, Alan Winans, Huascar Ynoa is going to be building back up, so you kind of don't know how they're going to use him. But you've got some depth down there. You've got some possibilities when it comes to that rotation if and when we get into a little bit of trouble as far as Lopez goes or anything like that. So, I think that, like you said, Reynaldo Lopez earned the spot. We told him he could come in and compete for the spot. When we signed him, everybody reported, hey, he's going to compete for a spot. So he came out and did everything you could ask him to do in order to earn that spot. So no complaints. I hope he does well. I'd love nothing more than for him to go out and be able to be in the rotation all year and be great there. And so, we'll kind of have to see about that. But, we're not, with AAA, you talk about their rotation. We're not the White Sox who are going to have to trot out Garrett Crochet out of the left field. Not that he hasn't been great this spring, but like somebody who's never started a game at the big league level and all of a sudden he's your opening day starter. So we're in good shape in Gwinnett. We're in good shape in Atlanta, and I'm just excited for this season to get going.
Yeah, I most certainly am as well. And I think a lot of people are a little more excited now after the big move of the week, which is the Braves brought back Adam Duvall. Duval, he is back, man.
Well,
He is back. I love this move by the Braves. I love bringing back Adam Duvall. They kind of talk a little bit further about his plan, and that's going to be he's going to platoon with Jared Kelenic. And I think that that really comes as a result of the spring from Jared. I think that wasn't a move that a lot of I feel like a lot of people kind of thought it might happen as of the last few weeks, but we talk coming into spring training. I mean, Sean, how many times have you said we don't need Jared Kelenic to be an all-star? But at this point in time, you're sitting there like he doesn't look like an MLB player. You need MLB players to play at every position. So, let's talk a little about Adam Duvall. Are you excited to have him back? What do you project for him? What do you think is fair to expect from Adam Duvall in the future? And what do you think about Jared Kelenic's spot now?
well, I think anybody in Atlanta Braves fandom is going to be happy to see Adam Duvall back. He's just one of those guys that you just like. This is his third stint with Atlanta. And if I remember correctly, I don't think he's been on the Braves roster before June at any point in any of his three stints. So this will be the first time that he's been on the roster to start the season. I do think, I think they may say that it didn't. I think Kelenic's play this spring definitely had an effect.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think Ronnie's knee tweak probably was like, hey, let's go get some insurance. Let's go get an outfielder that if somebody goes down or if Kelenic continues to struggle, that we can put out there and play every day.
Right.
Duvall's splits are pretty much even throughout his career, almost a reverse split guy, but he's better against lefties than Kelenic has looked. So, he's going to platoon. Kelenic's still going to get most of the ABs because he's going to hit against righties. So that's just kind of how that goes. I do think it shortens Kelenic's leash a little bit.
Yeah.
Kelenic does have an option left. Obviously, that's worst case scenario. If you're the Braves, you took on all the money you took on to go get him, and then if you have to option him. But he does have that available, and you can go to a known commodity in Adam Duvall, who is an excellent defender. He hit the ball substantially better once he moved from center to left. And so I just think all around it's a good move. It's an insurance policy for Kelenic. It's an insurance policy for an injury. He can DH. He can play first base. He can play all the outfield positions. So I just think it's a good overall fit. And he's beloved by Braves fans.
Yeah.
So as far as expectations, I think his expectations really are going to depend on Jared Kelenic. And Kelenic goes out and for the first 6 weeks bats 170. You're probably going to see Duvall play every day after that, because like you said, the Braves are not in a window where you need uncertainty. The Braves are in a win now window. We're a 100-win team, so I think that's kind of what you're going to see. And if Kelenic comes out and hits 280 against righties, then I think you see the platoon, and they probably combine for 30 home runs and play pretty good defense, and you've got a pretty good left field situation out there.
Yeah, and I'm obviously nobody more excited for Adam Duvall coming back than Blooper. We love that. We love that relationship, getting back into the swing of things. I love it. I'm an Adam Duvall guy. I mean, I was an Adam Duvall guy when he played for the Reds. I've always liked Adam Duvall. He is the kind of guy. He's my kind of guy. Guy who's going to dive for a ball. Guy who is going to hit against righties and lefties. Guy who puts in the work, hustles, does anything he asks him to do. If he can play corner outfield, center field, DH, play in the infield, he does it all. He is absolutely the perfect guy, and he's a locker room leader. The guys love him. You don't have to worry about him coming in and ruffling feathers. That's the other thing is, maybe they could have made a trade or signed another guy. They could have signed like a JD Martinez, for example, and just say, hey, can you bat for us? Just bat for us. And then, if you feel like Kelenic can't do it, you could put Wall out there in left field and have JD Martinez get the at-bats, and then you change your lineup up a little bit or whatever. But, what does that do for the chemistry of the team? You don't know. Adam Duvall is a leader. He is the kind of guy you want in your clubhouse. The manager knows what to expect out of them, and those are all just really good things. It almost made too much sense for it not to happen. And I'm not breaking any news now. I mean, it's kind of been like the hush hush thing about across Braves Twitter, right? It's been like, and Kalenic, Duvall's still out there for a few weeks now. And then it's like, oh, okay, it happened. Like, it almost felt like it was too obvious and someone's going to throw a curveball or something. But they threw a fastball right down the middle, and I think it's a home run hit. I'm really excited to see Adam Duvall back in a Braves uniform. I don't think Adam Duvall didn't wear the City Connects yet. So Adam Duvall in the City Connects, that's going to be nice. A nice little addition for our Adam Duvall fans. Nice little picture. We'll put him on a graphic as soon as we can. As soon as he starts the game, after he takes a picture in one for sure. So Adam Duvall back with the Braves. You love to see that, and that kind of finalized a 26-man roster. We touched on it a little bit earlier. Were you surprised with any of the people that ended up on the roster? I know that the last two spots really for the fielders ended up being Forrest Wall and Luis Guillermo. I can't pronounce the guy's name. I'm sorry. Guillorme. I just want to say Guillermo. That's a name that I've heard before, and so my brain does not let me say it. So I apologize, Mr. Guillorme. And then Dylan Lee and Jackson Stevens really getting those last two spots in the bullpen. Any surprises? Was there anybody you thought was going to stay up that didn't end up staying up, or did you kind of think over the last few days this is probably what's going to happen for the 26 men?
Yeah, well, I think for me, Duvall kind of solidified what the bench pieces were going to be. You kind of knew it was going to be Forrest Wall before Duvall, rather. You kind of expected Forrest Wall, and then it was like, okay, who's going to get those last two spots? Well, once you sign Duvall, obviously he's going to be on the roster. So then it's okay, you have to have an infielder. So then it really became Luis Guillorme or David Fletcher. Fletcher had already been DFA'd after we acquired him, so Guillorme is on a major league deal. So it just kind of made sense. So that's kind of the way that I saw it shaking out, especially once Duvall was signed. As far as the bullpen goes, you kind of had to wait for that fifth starter spot to drop. But once Elder went down, it just kind of looked like that was the way it was going to go. I don't love that the Braves are carrying four lefties out of the pen. It just feels a little lefty heavy. It feels like we could maybe use one more right hand, especially when one of your righties is the closer, so you're not going to see him coming in the sixth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, if needed. So you kind of limit your hand as far as the righties go. Jackson Stevens is going to be the long man. So, I wouldn't mind seeing that, but I think that's where you're going to see Ken Giles a little bit later on. Maybe Huascar Ynoa, if he comes back and kind of rehabs that arm, and it's like, okay, maybe he can't quite be a starter, but we can get him out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
I think you'll see one of those guys replace Dylan Lee at some point. Lee does have an option, only guy in the bullpen with an option. So I think that was kind of the thought process behind that was Lee's not pitched very good this spring, but he's got an option. And so give a couple of guys some time to build up. Let us see Jackson Stevens as a long man. Let us see Ronaldo Lopez as the starter. And then if stuff goes haywire, you can move Lopez to the pen, bring Elder up, send Dylan Lee down, whatever you want to do. And now you've got that extra righty back in the pen, and you're carrying the three lefties, Minter, Matzik, and Bummer. So no super surprises. That's kind of my one knock. But as far as when you look top to bottom, this Braves lineup and rotation, and it's as good as any in baseball. It's not even up for debate.
Yeah. The audacity, by the way, of the MLB Twitter account today to post and ask, the best offensive trio since who for Freeman, Betts, and Ohtani. Like, it's a it might not be
Last year.
I don't think it's the best in baseball. What are we talking about here, guys?
No, absolutely. I mean, and the thing is, it's like, okay, even if you want to be like, we're not going to say this year because nothing's happened yet. It's like, well, since last year when you had Acuna go 40-70 and Olsen hit 54 home runs, and then you've got your pick of the litter between guys behind them, Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies, who hit 30 and 100. Like, I mean, it's like you said, it's it's that Dodger. It's new and it's shiny with Ohtani and everything going on out
It's
there.
gross.
So
it's disgusting. Stop. There are 29 other teams in Major League Baseball. You hired interns from different areas of the country. Please, can we stop with the nonsense? Oh my goodness. I've never seen someone go from beloved to hated as quickly as Shohei Ohtani, and it's not his fault. Well, he decided to sign with the Dodgers and send all that money to 2075. But my goodness, oh, we're so sick of seeing Ohtani. I hope they don't win a single World Series because the Braves win all of them.
Speaking of Ohtani, last week we talked about how bad we both think Dave Roberts is as a manager. You know, did you see what he said about Shohei today? Did you see that?
My goodness, what a disaster! They're going to lose games.
First, we've got Mookie moving to shortstop, and now you have 3 negative out above replacement infielders with Max Muncy, Gavin Lux, and Mookie Betts in the infield. And then now you're going to say, hey, we just paid this guy $700 million, and he's coming off of Tommy John surgery. But you know what? We're not throwing him out in left field. Just let it, what are we doing? He doesn't have to play the field to hit, Dave. I don't know if you know that or not, Dave. Not you, Dave. Dave Roberts, Dave. I don't know if you know that now in the National League, but he doesn't have to play the field to hit.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're going to... Could you imagine him re-blowing his elbow out trying to throw a guy out at the plate or something? Or could you just imagine?
I've thought of that. Yeah, I saw that and I said, well, that's great. He's coming back from an elbow injury. Like, you have to wait a long time to throw. How long did Bryce Harper changed positions? Bryce Harper
came back in like 6 or 7 months, but he played first base. Like, he didn't have to throw the ball.
They moved him to first base.
Right. And you're like, oh, we're just going to, no. Depending on his throwing routine, we might just play him in left field later on this season.
My goodness.
Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
They're going to spend.
He's going to turn him into a 85-90 win team, and they're going to lose the West.
Yeah.
Somebody else. That's what Dave Roberts is about to do. He's going to overmanage them right out of being the favorites in the NL West.
Yeah, literally. I mean, they're going to spend $900 million on player salaries, and they're going to have Dave Roberts run them. Oh my goodness, what a disaster! Yeah. I mean, their defense is going to lose them games.
Rabbit trail. I rabbit trailed, and I'm so. But the second you mentioned Ohtani, I just was like, I almost had to double check and make sure that it wasn't a fake account that was tweeting this stuff, because I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, there's no way this is going to happen. Oh, whoa, this is actually Jeff Passan. Okay, wow. All right, Sean, I'm gonna get us back on track here. No more rabbit trails. I'm just gonna make it very simple.
Back on the tracks.
Very simple. Back on track. One question for you: who's starting opening day?
Max Fried.
Okay.
I almost said it before you could ask the question. But our audio, when we upload this, sometimes it's running us together. It's trying to get the delay out of the middle, and there's not as big of a delay as it thinks. So then I was like, I'm not going to get this out in time, and I probably still did. I probably still said it too fast, but it's Max Fried, and I'll tell you why. Max Fried has carried the staff for the last few years. Max Fried carried them to a World Series in 2021 as the ace. Okay. You don't know what Max Fried's future holds. You don't know what that's going to look like. And so I think you hand him the ball and you say, you have been our ace. We are so lucky to have the option between him and Strider. But give Fried the ball today or this year and let Spencer do the next 6 to 10.
Yeah.
It's not like Spencer's going anywhere, but if this is Fried's last season in Atlanta, which one of my hot takes was that he's going to re-sign with Atlanta, but if this is in fact his last season with Atlanta, you got to give him the ball.
Yeah.
Like, let him go, let him take the ball, let him be the guy this year. And and Strider doesn't seem like the guy. Neither does Freed. I don't mean that, but neither of them seem like the guy where it's like I'm going to be super offended by the fact that the other guy's getting the ball for opening day. But I just think, all things considered, the history and all that, it's got to be Freed.
No, I agree. And the other thing, I like for the first few weeks of this season, I like Strider going up against most teams' number 2 and number 3 starters. I mean, the people are talking. The people are talking about Spencer Strider's new curveball and the fact that he's gone 19 innings in spring training without giving up an earned run. What are we? Listen, I'm not going to overblow spring training stats. I'm not. But I mean, this has been every bit of that. This is not like, oh, well, he got through a few innings and cool. This is like, oh, he's mowing down the lineup again. Oh, he's dominating another offense. Oh, the Rays are throwing out their team they're going to run out on opening day, and Spencer Strider is struck out 7 of them. Like, he is just phenomenal right now. And if you give him number 2 matchups, because the Phillies are starting Zach Wheeler on opening day, so they're putting their ace out there, and if Freed can match up with Zach Wheeler for sure. And I think that there's a drop off from Strider to Nola. I'll eat those words if it's a 5-0 Phillies win, but I feel like Spencer Strider's that good right now that anything he does, he's so far ahead of other pitchers right now based on what he's been doing this spring that, I mean, if you give him extra help in a matchup, there's no telling what this guy can do. So I like it. I like him being a number 2 starter. I like if I kind of feeling of like, okay, we got through the ace, and then you look up and there's Godzilla, and there is the final Quadzilla. Those transparent pants stand no chance against Mr. Spencer Strider. That man is sturdy. We call those tree trunk thighs. And he's looking good, man. He looks so good. I'm excited. You can put him anywhere. And then the fact that you're following up with, I'm assuming you would go Morton Sale for the 3-4. Is that how you would run things?
I'm going to be honest with you, buddy. I think I'm probably going to go with Sale with just how good he's looked in the offseason. I think you go Freed, Strider, Sale, Morton, Lopez. And I like the lefty-righty. I'm just one of those guys that's aesthetically pleasing to me, I think, at the top of the rotation. But the other we knew that Sale, when healthy, what he was still capable of. And you saw this spring, dude looked really good. All of them looked good. There's not any of that where you're like, I'm worried about any of these 4 guys. But either way, I think if you tried out Morton or Sale, either of those guys is your number 3, you're in pretty good shape. And to piggyback off your point about Strider matching up with 2s, I mean, how many number 1s does he match up in the league and you don't like his chances? You know what I mean? So, you bump him down against number 2s. You're right. The only guy that you might make the argument, Garrett Cole, and he's on the IL.
I'm not making that anyways.
But once you get past, I mean, I don't know who you throw him out there in the
John,
at the
nobody.
So
there's 0 people. I don't think Spencer Strider can beat 1-on-1 in any game. The answer is nobody. Not even Garrett Cole. Spencer Strider has a chance against every pitcher in baseball for sure.
And I think that is even it's exacerbated even more when you move him down to that second spot and you get past the team's ace, and now all of a sudden you're like, look, dude, every second guy in the rotation we face, we're going to beat with Spencer Strider, and so I think that I like that you made that point because I think that's a really good point. And then the other thing too, you were talking about people talking. I've just got to shout him out here. So I saw. Did you see our buddy Beans projections for this year? Kind of his crazy projections.
No, I'd love to hear him though.
He projected Spencer Strider to have a sub-3 ERA and to break 300 strikeouts.
Sounds good to me. That's not even crazy. I thought you were going to throw some crazy. You said crazy stats.
That sounds right. But if you Who else could you say that
Nobody.
about in the league when you're like,
Garrett Cole.
and you're like, oh, that
Maybe
makes
Corbin
sense.
Burns if he's healthy.
Yeah, right. And now right. So I just think, like I said, I think it's a twofold argument. I really like your point. And like I said, Strider's got 5, 6, 10 years to be the opening day starter. Or you hand the ball to Freed, you let him go do his thing in game one. Truist, well, it won't even be in Truist. It'll be Citizens Bank Park. And so you let him go into hostile territory, and I said we go sweep that opening series and send a message.
Hot take. I would also like us to sweep the Phillies to start the season. Braves country's gonna love this one, guys.
If we don't, if part of me is like, I need it to happen just because I want to be able to use Twitter for the first half of the season. because if we lose the series, if the Phillies beat Fried and Strider game 1 and 2, they're gonna be insufferable. Philly fans are going to be insufferable for their first. I mean, until we run away with the division, until it's like, okay, And here's what I'm going to say: you're not going to get a Sal Locata moment from me on this podcast. I promise you, there will be no declarations on Memorial Day that the NL East is over. Okay, we're not playing that game, but they will be insufferable until Philly fans are like, we're not catching the Braves.
Yeah, well, let's hope it's Memorial Day. I'm okay with that. If we want to be 25 games up on Memorial Day, I'm happy. I'll be good with that. But yeah, man, we are so close to baseball. We're gonna have one more recording before the actual season starts. Please be tuned for our social medias during the season. I'm already getting technology set up to do watch-alongs so that we could have a little chat and discuss the game as it goes on. Talk about Braves baseball and the game itself going on while we're doing that. Maybe if we like it and we're able to do it maybe once a week or something like that. But that is the plan for the summer months, is we're going to be doing a lot more stuff. We have a lot of very cool content coming up. I'm going to be dropping some MLB The Show stuff coming up soon, maybe some streaming some Braves franchise stuff or Braves Road to the Show and talking about the team while we do it. I mean, we are going to be very active this season, and we really want you to be along with the ride. We really would like for you guys to invite your Brave fan friends to join us as well. We think we make pretty good content. I don't know, Sean. I think we make good content. What about you?
Yeah, man, I think it's we got a lot of really good content creators in Braves country. So I got a lot of those guys that I really enjoy. Also, we're going to be doing some giveaways throughout the season. I'm going to be doing some. So I'm a big baseball card guy. So I'm already working on what we're going to do. We hit 100 followers on Twitter. So I'm already working on what I'm going to do for that. But I do have this, and you're not going to be able to see it very well because the glare from the camera. Okay. But that is World Series MVP Jorge Soler. Autograph, numbered out of 199, Topps tribute. So that is going to be given away at some point this season. I haven't decided which milestone we're going to do, but you're going to be seeing that again. Also have a Ronald Acuna Jr. Rookie card be given away at some point this season. So just be on the lookout, like Dave said. Social media, we're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff, a lot of content, a lot of giveaways, and then just a lot of interacting with Braves country. The watch-alongs are something I'm super excited for. So be on the lookout for all of that on social media. Also, something else to be on the lookout for social media is our weekly segments. So, Dave, I'm going to toss it to you. Let you start us out here. Hit us with your Dirty Dave, and this is my name, by the way, Dirty Dave's nasty stat of the week.
Okay, I'm for it, man. I like it. All right, so little fun stat for us this week. I was taking a look at Sean Murphy's first season with the Atlanta Braves, and Sean Murphy hit 21 home runs last year in 108 games. I think he might even play more games this year. So 21 home runs, absolutely not out of the realm of possibility for Sean Murphy this season. If Sean Murphy hits another 21 home runs this season, he will be in the top 10 all-time for Braves catchers and home runs. He will pass the following players on the all-time Braves catchers home run list. He'll pass Evan Gattis, David Ross, Vic Carell, Bob Tillman, William Contreras, Eddie Perez, Kurt Suzuki, Gene Oliver, Phil Mazzi or Mazie. He's an old time. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's before me. And Tyler Flowers to jump into the top 10. But to get an idea of the how far ahead the leader is, he would need to play until age 38, averaging 20 home runs a season to pass Javi Lopez for the team lead in home runs by a catcher. So our guy Javi Lopez, no bigger Javi Lopez guys than me and the Sandman over here. Here you go, Sean. I'm gonna put you on the spot before I send it over for your weekly segment. So Javi Lopez is first in home runs among Braves catchers. Brian McCann is second, which we'll pick that. Who's third?
Man, that's tough. How far back are we going? Give me that.
Let me see. Hold on. I got you. His last game was in 1966. If you don't got it, man, you don't got it. I wouldn't have gotten this one either. The guy who's in fourth, I would have guessed. I would have thought he was third, actually. The guy in fourth is okay. So Del Crandall is the guy in third. He was a part of the last bit of Milwaukee Braves teams, and then fourth place is Joe Torre. Joe Torre is fourth.
Torre was who I was going to pick.
Yeah.
Then you said 66, and I was like, "That's not."
I would have guessed Torre.
Torre
was
sure.
My guy.
Torre was my guy. I was going to say that before you got to announcing them, but yeah, Torre was my guess. And then when I was like, "Well, let's see when it was," and you said 66, and I was like, "That's Torre's not going to."
Brave legend Joe Torre was in the dugout for the Yankees today. I think he went out and made a pitching change and everything. So he's still around the game, man. Good for Joe. But let's hand it over to you for your weekly segment of the week. It is, as we mentioned, March Madness, and I think that you have Sandman's surefire sleeper bet of the week to go. What I like sleeper, you do surefire, right?
Yeah. So it is I am doing a opening round March Madness. Just a 4-leg, not going to get crazy, but I do have a couple of upsets here. So I'm going to go with the obvious one. For those of you that don't know, it's going to be very obvious after this first pick, but I'm a Duke fan. I've been a Duke fan for most of my childhood into my adulthood. So we're going to take Duke in round one. They're playing Vermont. They're minus 800 favorites. So taking them, we're going to get started on a good foot there. Okay. Next, I'm going to take an underdog here at plus 190. I'm going to take James Madison to beat Wisconsin.
I have them going to the Sweet 16 in my bracket, I think. So I'm with you on James Madison. They check every box I look for in March Madness.
Yep. So James Madison there. I've got St. Mary's beating Grand Canyon. They're minus 230. And then the other one that might be a little bit surprising is I'm going to take Drake to beat Washington State. So those are my four. Drake is actually a favorite, believe it or not. Not a very big favorite, minus 130. But together, that's plus 728, meaning $10 is going to pay you out 82.81. So all of those games are on Friday. So if you strike out on Friday, you still got Saturday to go. So, but we're going to that's my surefire bet of the week. We've got Duke over Vermont, James Madison over Wisconsin, St. Mary's over Grand Canyon, and Drake over Washington State. All of those happening on Friday. Also, this is not gambling advice. I'm called a hotline. Don't bet more than you can lose. So, Sandman surefire bet of the week.
I love it. I'm gonna go get a nice prime rib dinner when I put enough money that I can afford to lose if I do lose on your bet there. I would like to remind the listeners at home that in Mike Krzyzewski's last game, he did lose in the Final Four in North Carolina. So on to our last segment, because you don't have anything else to add right now, Sean, right? You're ready to move on? Oh, come on. I know that was a low blow. I'm sorry. I won't do that again. We are going through Major League Baseball. Last week, we took a look at the National League and American League West and went over our predictions for the standings and discuss a little bit about why we thought it. We're going to do the same thing for the American and National League Centrals this week. And wow, I mean, I think these are surefire the two worst divisions in baseball. They're the AL Central's rough, man, and the NL Central isn't much better, but at least we got a little bit more star power there. But the AL Central feels like you take 5 darts and throw them. Well, I think we could both agree you probably take 4 darts and throw them at a dartboard and just see whichever one sticks on which. So I think we're going to have the same team in 5th place, but I'll let you decide that by telling us, Sean, who do you have finishing 5th place in the American League Central this year?
I have the team that's going to trot Garrett Crochet out as their opening day starter.
Yep.
We're going to the Chicago White Sox. Now, obviously, I'm going to watch a bunch of White Sox games this season because they've got like 18 guys that were on the Braves in the last couple of years. So I'm going to watch them, but I just think they're going to be really bad. They're going to be really bad. They traded Dylan Cease finally. He went to the Padres, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me there either, but that's neither here nor there. So I've got the White Sox at 5. Obviously, I think you've got the White Sox at 5. I'll go ahead and give my 4 if you don't have any major commentary to put on the White Sox and their season.
I would like to make some commentary. What on earth are the Chicago White Sox doing? I cannot for the life of me figure out what they think they're accomplishing over there, because they just bring in these placeholders that are like 30 years old that have no place in baseball anymore. I mean, listen, man, I'm not going to sit here and badmouth the guy, but they're going to depend. They are going to need lots and lots of meaningful innings from Touki Toussaint in the year of our Lord 2024. Okay? 2024. Touki Toussaint. White Sox.
Look, I stand to.
That's fine. That's fine. So do I. He's great. I love him. Right? It's 2024, and they're asking him to be like their number 3 starter. They brought Eric Fetty from Korea to eat innings for them. What a disaster. And then, like 2 weeks ago, they signed Mike Moustakas. Why are they signing Mike Moustakas? It's 2024. Play your AAA guys. Let them take some lumps. What are they doing? Okay. Tell me who you have in 4th place, Sean, before I get any deeper into my disdain for what the White Sox are trying to accomplish.
I'm going to shock you here, and I don't have a whole lot of verifiable data to back this selection up, but I'm taking Cleveland to finish 4th. I don't know. I have a gut feeling that they're not going to be very good this year. I just think that their team didn't get any better. They're not any better. They didn't really do anything this offseason of note that I can remember. So I just feel like they're poised to just not be very good. Now, I will say, I think 2, 3, and 4, you could, like you said, throw them in a hat and pull one out, and they could all finish at any of these spots. So, this isn't like I'm picking the Dodgers to finish 4th by any means. But I just think, like I said, something about it just gives me this vibe that they're not going to be very good. So I've got Cleveland finishing 4th.
I thought I was being unfair by putting them where I put them, and it's not 4th. So that shows where I'm at. 4th place for me, I am going to surprise people. I'm going to put the Tigers. Tigers finished 2nd last year. I don't see any redeeming qualities about the Tigers. They're going to win like 70-something games this year, I think, just off the fact that their offense is full of guys who cannot get on base, but they can hit a few home runs here and there. So I think they'll outslug a couple of teams here and there. Their pitching, they have a solid start to the rotation, and that's about it, man. K-Rod's gone. Javi Baez is poised to bat 145 this year. Spencer Torkelson, hopefully he takes more steps. But if not, he's going to really struggle again. And I don't like anything they're doing. I feel like they're a team. Detroit, in most sports right now, are doing the same thing. Not the Lions, because the Lions are doing the opposite and they're succeeding. But they just take money and they're like, we have money and we have to spend it right now. No questions asked. We have $200 million. We're going to give Javi Baez. You want it? You can have it. You probably should have just given like 50 mil to one guy and saved. I mean, we put it in a savings account, put it in a Roth IRA or something, and you should have done that. But spending that money on that guy was not the right move. I struggle with them. Now I kind of get a spoiler, so I'll say my number 3, which is the Guardians. I do have the Guardians at the 3 spot. Here's the difference between the Guardians and like the Tigers and the White Sox is I know who's closing games for the Guardians, and he's really good. And unlike the Tigers and the White Sox, they have a superstar player. They've won, and that's more than the other 2 teams have. And I really like what Kansas City did this offseason. They spent their money in a lot of different ways. They added a lot of pieces that I really like. I think the Royals are going to be fighting for a playoff spot next year. I looked more into it. They're going to get Vinny Pasquantino back. Bobby Witt got a huge contract. They added some relievers. They added some starters. They still have Salvador Perez, who's probably going to DH more than catch now. I would hope, anyways, that they're smart enough to do that. I like what the Royals are doing. So I'm going to put the Guardians in 3rd and hand over to you for your 3rd spot.
So we're gonna finish this out the same way. We just have 3 and 4 flipped. So I have Detroit finishing 3rd. All the same reasons that you like Kansas City and why I didn't put them 3rd. That's what I think about Kansas City. So I'm with you there. I just think that, I don't know, like I said, the Guardians being bad is just kind of a gut feeling. I do like the point you made about their closer and knowing who that is. But I just think, like I said, for whatever reason, I think the Tigers, I don't think they regress quite as much, and the division's just bad. So I got them at 3. 2, I'm going with Kansas City. Like you said, I like what they did this offseason. They were a team that they spent money like a small market team, and they did things that made sense for the position they're in. They did not handcuff themselves long term. They didn't give somebody like Javi Baez $200 million. They didn't handcuff themselves that way, but they also made moves that were going to make them better. And I think that's what they did. And they know the division they're in, and so I've got them too.
Yeah, no, I like that. We both had the Twins in number 1. The Twins finally got the monkey off their back and won a playoff game last year. They couldn't. Let's not get crazy and talk about a whole series. Now we'll take baby steps and maybe they'll get there. But they did win a playoff game last year, so they finally did that. They did lose Sonny Gray though. I mean, this was a tougher call than I think a lot of people are thinking because the Guardians could win again this year. Because a couple years ago we thought the Guardians were going to be bad, and then they won the division over the White Sox when the White Sox were coming off their one good season, and their local TV market tweeted that picture of like trying to see who's going to compete with us this year, and then they lost. So, I think that we could see another shock like that. I could see the Royals shocking the Twins like that, but it's tough to not assume the Twins win it, is all I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I considered the Royals actually winning the division, but I just think the Twins are still just a little bit better, and so I've got the Twins also. So I don't have a ton to add there. So I guess that's going to take us to the NL Central. So, Dave, I will let you start us off at the NL Central. Who do you have 5th? In the National League Central?
I think the 5th is pretty clearly the Pirates. I think it's the Pirates. I think are doing good things. I love the left side of their infield with Brian Hayes and O'Neal Cruz. They need to both stay healthy. They have like good bad team players, like guys who are like, when you're a bad team, you're like, okay, we don't have to replace that guy to get better. They'll be the last guys that we move on from, but they're just not great. I like them bringing Mitch Keller to a long-term contract because it's good for the Pirate. It's good to see the Pirates giving players that deserve contracts. I'm so used to them taking a lottery and trying to find 10 prospects, and then 2 of them become good, and the other 8 fizzle out, and then they trade the other 2 for 10 more prospects, and they just go up and back and up and back. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. So I like them giving guys that are that have earned contracts. But I don't think they have enough to compete with the other 4 teams, the NL Central. So I'm putting them in 5.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've got them at 5, much of the same reasons. I think O'Neill Cruz needs to improve defensively. I think he just had his 5th error of spring training today. So, but I do like Brian Hayes. I like O'Neill Cruz. Like you said, I like the Mitch Keller signing. So I've got them at 5. 4, I'm going to take the St. Louis Cardinals. And I don't like what they're doing. I don't understand. I think Ollie Marmol is not a good manager, and they just extended him. They're bringing in Matt Carpenter.
Braves legend Matt
they
Carpenter.
Brought back Lance Lynn. Braves legend Matt Carpenter. They brought back Lance Lynn. They brought over Sonny Gray. Goldie is another year older. Arenado's another year older. He's not the Nolan Arenado that was the by and far best third baseman in the league. He's not that anymore. So I don't love what they're doing. And so I think that they have slipped a little bit, and I think that they will finish 4th this season.
I totally agree. I have the Cardinals in 4th as well. I want to make this comment very clear. Their pitching staff sucks. It is terrible. I mean, it is really, this is their starting rotation right now. It is Sonny Gray. I like Sonny Gray, right? That was his best year of his career last year, and he has injury history. I don't think he can replicate it. I just don't. I don't think Sonny Gray replicates a top 5 Cy Young again performance for another year. No. Second starter is Miles Mikolas. In 2024, Miles Mikolas, I mean, he has not been good since we have had a full global pandemic since the last time Miles Mikolas was good. And he is their number 2 starter on a team that's spending money like they want to compete. Their number 3 starter is Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn gave up 4.5 straight home runs in a playoff game last year. Back-to-back guys. 1, 2, 3. The 4th guy hit one. They brought it back, and then he was like, I'll just hit another one because it's Lance Lynn. Like, that is so embarrassing. He's their 3rd best pitcher, followed by Kyle Gibson and a guy named Drew Rom. I have no idea who Drew Rom is. They have a horrible pitching staff. They're going to have one of the worst ERAs in baseball. I mean, if Wilson Contreras hopefully plays better, but he's not going to do them any favors behind the plate because he can't pitch frame and he can't call a game. He can hit home runs. Not a lot of catchers can hit home runs as well as him, but it's all he could do. And so I'm with you. I don't know what they're doing out in St. Louis, but I'm a Cardinals hater, so I love it. There you go. You all found out something new about me. I am a Cardinals hater, and I love that they've mucked this up as bad as they have.
All right. So number 3, I have the Cincinnati Reds. I think they're getting better. They're improving. Some of the young guys are getting better, but I don't quite see them taking that next step yet. And so I've got the Reds at 3. But again, I think these top 3 teams, just like the middle teams in the AL Central, you can throw them in a hat and pick them up or toss them in a dartboard, and you kind of whatever sticks this season is kind of what's going to happen. But that could be a toss up. So I've got the Pirates 5, Cardinals 4, and the Reds at 3.
I have the Brewers at 3. I have Milwaukee at 3. And I think I think this is more I like what the Reds are doing more than I don't like what the Brewers are doing, because the Brewers had a pretty solid offseason. They lost Corbin Burns, but I think the writing's been on the wall for a while with Corbin Burns, and they have a really good ace still in Peralta, and Woodruff's coming back, and what do you get out of him? You don't know, but I feel like they have Andy Ashby's become a consistent starter at the major league level. I like what the Brewers have done. They have a good farm system. They have the number 2 prospect in all of baseball right now. I'm excited to see what he does. I love one of my favorite moves of the offseason was them getting Rhys Hoskins. He fits in exactly with what they needed. They needed more offense because they've been trying to depend on Rowdy Tellez, who's so hit or miss, and he can't hit lefties. And Rhys Hoskins fills the opposite void of that. If Willy Adames can hit like he did a few years ago, I've spoken somewhat negatively of him on this show before, but that was more I like Orlando Arcia, not I don't like Willy Adames. So I think that the Brewers are in a solid spot. I don't think they're more than an 85 win team, though. I still think there's too many holes. I don't think they have the firepower. They're still a small market team that has to play like a small market team and spend like a small market team. So that impacts them in a negative way. And like I said, I really like what Cincinnati's doing. I'm putting them at 2 because I really like what the Cubs are doing as well. But I'll talk about the Reds really quick because that young core they got is nice, man. That's a nice young core. I will say I do think Ellie De La Cruz is a little overrated. People are acting like he is already God's gift to baseball. I think he's more like a very fun guy who's going to make a ton of mistakes and strike out a lot and go through stretches where he is like missing, and then all of a sudden he'll hit 3 home runs and steal 3 bags in the same game. You're gonna be like, whoa, what? How did that happen? How does a player even do that? So he always has that potential. He's so exciting. I like what the Reds are doing a lot, though. Good bullpen, sneaky good starters, lots of young guys, very exciting. They're an aggressive team. They take the next base, but they kind of have guys do everything. They have good defenders. They have good contact guys. They've built a core for themselves, and they keep adding to it. Really underrated move. They got Jeimer Candelario this offseason. Again, I really like that's a very sneaky good move because they needed a veteran presence. They need a guy who can bat 280 and not have to worry about, he doesn't have 40 home runs. Just bat 290 for us, man. Hit 10, 15 home runs. Be a consistent leader in the dugout for us. And I think he's going to do that really well. So I'm excited to hear who you have in the number 2 spot for the National League Central.
Yeah, I'm taking Milwaukee too. My thing is, I really like the Rhys Hoskins move. I think it bolsters their lineup a lot. I think William Contreras is only going to continue to get better. He's going to continue to be the better Contreras brother. So he's going to do that. Hoskins is going to be a great addition there. Like you said, they've still got Peralta. They've got Ashby. Woodruff's coming back at some point. They've got Adames. So I like what the Brewers have. The Reds, to me, they're a team that could, for me, they're a team that they could win 80 games or they could win 95. And it's really going to depend on how those young guys play. And do they take another step? Or are they kind of where they were at? There's a lot of that stuff with the Reds in a lot of facets from the rotation to the bullpen to the infield to whatever. They've got some of those guys. So I've got the Reds 3, Brewers 2. Obviously, that means that I've got the Cubs 1. And really, for me, the Bellinger deal kind of was what pushed that over the edge for me. I like Christopher Morel. I like the Shoto signing. I think the Cubs are probably, obviously they've got Dansby. I think they're just a more well-rounded team than most of the teams in the NL Central. So I like them. But again, would I be surprised if it was Reds, Cubs, Brewers? No. Would I be surprised if it was Brewers, Reds, Cubs? No. Like, there's not really an order of the top 3 where I'd be like, wow, that was shocking. it's like, oh, that's the team that's the team that played the best this year. That's the team that took the step forward where they needed to. That's the team that fixed the mistakes. That's the team that did X, Y, and Z. And so that's where I'm at. So I've got Cubs, Brewers, Reds, Cardinals, and Pirates for my.
And I'll say
League
this:
Central.
if I was building a baseball team, I would go the exact same route the Cubs have gone. I would build through defense up the middle. I would build a team that has 5 to 7 starters that I feel like I could rely on. I would build a team that has a bunch of role/utility guys that could do a lot of different things, and I could play the hot hand. I love Nico Horner. He's probably he's one of my favorite second basemen in all of baseball. Really good defender, potential 300 hitter. Of course, Dansby Swanson. You love Dansby. Cody Bellinger. I've always been a Bellinger guy. I think you know that. I've always been a Bellinger guy. Even when he was batting 185, I was like, I like Bellinger. And the thing about that is, like, the thing the Cubs saw with him was that he was grounding into the shift more than almost anybody. He was in line drives right at that shortstop, whoever was in deep, short right field. Like, well, now the shift's gone. They feel like, all right, well, he might be able to hit. Man, he was a 300 hitter last year. That's insane that he went from like 3 straight years of batting 180 to a legitimate 300 hitter. Like, that doesn't get talked about. But no, I think that Shota Imanaga, he's had really good stuff in spring training. I've been following him, and his last outing, he had, I think, 10 strikeouts in 5 innings. I mean, that's crazy. So he looks really good. They have young guys that are going to continue getting better, I think. And so they're a team to watch. I think they could easily win 85 games, or they can win 100 games this year and sneak into a 2 seed even behind if Dave Roberts' infield loses them enough games, because they're not getting past the Braves. I mean, come on, what are we talking about here? But yeah, so I go Cubs, Reds, Brewers, Cardinals, Pirates myself. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited to talk about the NL and AL East next week. Probably the most interesting divisions to try to handicap as we get into the season, especially the AL East. That's a division where really any team can finish anywhere, and NL East outside of 1 and probably 2. I think you can make a case. So you'll have to hear that next week. Before we get on out of here for today, as a reminder, join our bracket challenge. We have a gift card on the line. Keep an eye on our social media. We have trading card giveaways coming soon. Got to thank the Sandman Sean for that. And don't forget to give us a follow everywhere: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify. Search up the Battery Mates podcast. Tell your friends, man. Come on. We're going to have a great little community. Our community is already awesome. We're looking for more, good people to be a part of it. As we do our watch alongs, if we can get, 20 people in there even, man, that'll be a lot of fun. So, Sean, I'll leave the floor for you if you want to plug anything or finish off any last thoughts about anything we talked about today going into the season here.
No, man. Yeah, like you said, follow us everywhere. Battery Mates podcast. Keep up with us, especially Twitter. We're on there a ton, so follow us there. And yeah, we're just looking forward to the season starting. So, Dave, if you're good with it, I'm just going to go ahead and take us home, man. All right. So, again, thank you guys for listening, for tuning in, hanging out with us. Join us on all of our social media stuff. It's going to be fun. A lot of cool content coming your guys' way. I'm excited about MLB The Show, the card giveaways, just everything. It's a great little thing, man. So it's going to be fun. Follow us on all that. Look out for all that. But that's going to do it for tonight. For Dirty Dave, I'm the Sandman Sean, and we'll catch you next time.